Dear students of BA Part 1, both having English in their honors and subsidiary courses, at first wish you a very warm, healthy, sound and sunny morning. Dear friends, in my previous video, I have tried my level best to introduce you to the poem "A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal," which has been nicely written and nicely crafted by William Wordsworth, the pioneer of the Romantic revival of the early 19th century. Now, today, I have a good mind to discuss the 8 lines, as this poem consists of 2 stanzas. Each stanza consists of 4 lines. So if you have books, that is your mystic drum, please take out your book and turn to page number 29, and rather page number 30. Before dealing the poem, I think it would be nice to go through the explanatory notes which has been provided to you at the end of the poem. I am reading it out for you people. The speaker of the poem refers to his sleepy condition. It means the speaker of the poem, it means the poet, the person who is narrating the story, refers or talks of his sleepy condition. So the person or the speaker or the poet is not in his senses, or his sense of perception is not working properly, as if in a swoon. Swoon means behoshi, where his power of perception has become ineffective. It means his power of perfection, his sense organs, his organs of perception, or the organ by which we feel something, is not working properly, because the speaker seems to be in a swoon. His sense of perception has become ineffective and blunt. It is not sharp, it has gone blunt, bhothra, inactive, and hence does not suffer human fears. From a human being, she, that means Lucy, has been transformed into a thing, a spirit, not at all affected by the fears of earthly life. She has lost her own will and direction, and has become so one with the earth that she is rolled round like an inanimate object, such as a rock or a stone or tree. The poem presents a definite contrast between the dreamlike first stanza, with its promise that Lucy will never die, and the shock of the realization of the bitter reality of death. So, the poem, divided in 2 stanzas consisting of 4 lines in each stanza, presents the speaker or the poet in 2 different states. In the first state, in the first stanza of the poem, the poet is in a dream like state of mind. He is in a dream. And the second stanza, the second segment, the second part of the poem presents the speaker or the poet in a shocked state, where he has to bear the stark reality of life. He has to bear the brunt of Lucy's death. And in that particular stanza, that is in the second stanza or second segment of the poem, the poet is trying to philosophize the very death, the very demise of his beloved Lucy. Hence, everything living or dead is a subject to the laws of nature. As I have told you in my previous video, that this poem undoubtedly or without any doubt deals with Lucy, talks of poet's affair, poet's love with Lucy. But this poem does not belong to the Lucy series of the poem. Now, we should take care of the very title of the poem. Dear friends or dear students, as the morning shows the day, the child shows the father. Likewise, the title shows any work of art, or title tells about the very theme of the poem. A slumber did my spirit seal. There is a beautiful alliteration of S sound in the title. A slumber, deep sleep, a state of swoon, when one's sense of perfection goes ineffective or blunt, when one's sense of perfection does not work properly, जब आदमी का जो सेंस ऑर्गन है, जो सेंस है जिससे हम फील करते हैं, वो पूर्ण रूपेण काम नहीं करता है. A slumber did my spirit seal. It means the poet's sense of perception has been sealed, has been closed by the slumber, by the deep sleep, by the swoon. The poet is in love. His love for Lucy has transported him into a world of ecstasy, into a world of pleasure, into a world of happiness. This is not the world in which we live, in which a human being lives. This is the world of a poet. This is the world of a lunatic. This is the world of a lover. Where there is no anxiety, there is no worry, there is no pain. There is love, love and love. Happiness and happiness and happiness. Joy and joy and joy. Mirth, mirth and mirth. Pleasure and pleasure and pleasure. Nothing else. A lover does not know the pangs. He has nothing to do with the worries of the world. He is free from the worries of the world. He soars, S-O-A-R-S, he soars higher and higher in the firmament of joy and happiness. The poet is in the same situation. He is in love. He is under the grip of love. He is under the effect of love. He is under the charm of love. जादू कर दिया है, प्यार ने जादू कर रखा है पोएट के ऊपर, कवि के ऊपर. The poet is not in his senses. कवि अपने सेंस में नहीं है. He is beyond himself, you can say. And see the line, he says, a slumber did my spirit seal. A slumber, a deep sleep, a swoon. Did my spirit seal? Poet's sense of perception is not working properly. It has gone ineffective, rather it has gone blunt. The poet is not in a mood to home the worry and anxiety of this mortal world. The world of love is immortal. The world of love is full of love. It's a lovely world. It's a beautiful world. It's a pretty and nice world where there is delight, happiness, mirth, and joy. It's a sweet world. It's a sound world. It is a sonorous world. It is a world where happiness swims. It is a world where joy blooms. It is a world where pleasure chuckles. It is a world where delight smiles. It's a fantastic world, my dear friends. It's a fantastic world. And the poet is in that particular world. He is relishing his love. He is enjoying his love. He is toying with his love. He is breathing his love. So, a slumber did my spirit seal. I had no human fears. We have human fears until our sense of organs, sense of perception rather, works. But here, the poet's sense of perception is not working because he is in a state like swoon. वह तो बेहोशी की स्थिति में है. He has drunk the beauty. He has drunk love. And he is in a drunken state. खूब पिया है पोएट ने, जम के पिया है, छक के पिया है. क्या पिया है भाई? प्यार को पिया है. प्यार की मदिरा उसने पी है. He has drunk the beer of love, the wine of love with eyes. And he is in a swoon. He is under the control of love. So he had no human fears. किसी भी प्रकार का डर उसको नहीं है. Because he is in a deep slumber. He is in a swoon. So I had no human fears. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly ears. We human beings are under the hold of time. We are under the hold of, under the clutch of, under the compass of time. Time is very mighty. It is very powerful. It is the deciding factor in life. We are not the mighty creature. Only the mightiest thing in life is the time, because it decides. It decides everything. It decides our living. It decides our life. It decides our death. It decides our childhood. It decides our youth. It decides our old age. So, we human beings are always under the hold of time, but since the poet's sense of perception has gone ineffective and blunt, the poet feels that he is beyond the control of time. His beloved Lucy is beyond the control of time. Time has no say upon her beloved, that is Lucy. So he thinks that the youth of Lucy is perennial. Lucy is immortal. His love is immortal. Lucy will not die. So he says, she means Lucy, she seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly years. We are touched. We human beings, we living creatures are always touched, or are always in the touch of the earthly years. But love is never in the touch of earthly years. Love is immortal. Love never dies. True love never dies. And here, poet's love for Lucy is the true love. He loves her in the truest sense of the term. He loves her very deeply and passionately. He loves her with a passion, with sincerity, with dedication, with devotion. He loves her from the core of his heart. And his love for Lucy transcends him into a world where there is no death, there is no worry, there is no anxiety. That world is heavenly, as love makes the world heaven-like. That world is full of delight, full of pleasure, full of joy, full of happiness, full of mirth, full of flower, full of fragrance, full of sweetness. It is a world where river flows. It is a world where birds chirp. It is a world where gentle breeze sings. It is a world where happiness dances. It is a world where joy smiles. So, in that state of mind, when the poet's sense of perception has gone ineffective and blunt, he thinks that his beloved is not under the control, is not under the clutch of time. She is beyond the hold of time. And the poet does not suffer from any human fears, because he is not living in this world. However, physically he is present in this world, but mentally he is not living, or he is not present in this world. He has been transported into a different world. But in the second stanza of the poem, everything changes. Unfortunately, Lucy dies. The death of Lucy sends shudder into the bone marrow of the poet. It shocks him. No motion has she now, no force. No motion has she now, no force. Here we have repetition of the word no. No motion has she now. Lucy is dead. And there is no motion, there is no force in a corpse. Lucy has turned into a corpse, into a dead thing, into a dead body. And the poet says that she has no motion, she has no force, she neither hears nor sees. She neither hears nor sees. So there is the alliteration of the sound N and the sound S. So since Lucy is dead, how can she hear? How can she see? How can she watch? How can she raise her hands? How can she make movements? She has no force, she has no motion, she is a dead thing. She is a corpse. No motion has she now, no force. She neither hears nor sees. And here I have told you in the previous video of mine that the poet does not succumb to the death of his beloved. He never thinks in terms of committing suicide. He bears it. He bears the death of Lucy very bravely. And he manages very cleverly the death of Lucy. And he philosophizes the very death of Lucy. Just for his survival, just for the survival of his love upon the earth. How can Lucy die? Lucy can't die. His beloved has not died. She has just changed her shape. She has just changed her identity. So he says, rolled round, alliteration of R sound, rolled round in earth's diurnal course. Once Lucy was a living organism, and now Lucy has been transported, has been changed into a thing. And as a thing, she participates to the mechanical movement of the earth. So now Lucy is present in each and every particle, each and every atom of the earth. Lucy is there in each. Lucy is there in the every particle of the earth. Lucy has got herself identified to the earth. She is there in each and every movement of the earth. So the poet says here, rolled round in earth's diurnal course with rocks and stones and trees. Lucy is there in the rocks. She is there in the stones. She is there in the trees. So Lucy is everywhere. Earlier there was one Lucy, but Now, Lucy is in the everything of the earth. Lucy is in the very soil of the earth. Lucy is in the very air. Lucy is in the very tree. Lucy is in the very stones and rocks and each and every particle of the earth. She is in the very atom of the earth. So Lucy is everywhere. Lucy is all pervasive. So, both the stanzas, as it has been told to you earlier, or as I have told you earlier, both these two stanzas depict the two different states of mind of the poet. In the first state of mind, the poet is in a world of ecstasy. He is in a dream-like world rather. He is in a zone where he has no human fears, where he thinks that Lucy is beyond the hold of time. Lucy is beyond the clutch of time. Her youth is perennial. But in the second stanza, the poet has to face the stark reality of the death of Lucy. He is shocked. He is bewildered rather. And he tries to manage this shock. And in trying so, he philosophizes the very death, the very demise of his beloved. The first stanza, see the rhyme scheme of this poet. The first line ends with seal, the second line with fears, the third line with feel, and the fourth one with ears. So seal rhymes with feel and fears rhymes with ears. So if we take seal as A, the rhyme scheme of the first stanza of the poem is or will be AB, 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 AB. Seal rhymes with seal rhyming with feel and fears rhyming with ears. So AB, AB. In the second stanza, force rhymes with course and seas rhymes with trees. So if you take it force as C, the rhyme scheme would be C, CD, CD. AB, 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 CD, CD. So this is the very rhyme scheme of the poem. I hope you must have picked up this poem. You must have some understanding of this poem. Go through the poem again on your own. Go through the video. Try to comprehend the poem. Try to enjoy the poem. Try to have delight with the poem. And if you feel any problem, you should send your problems through your comments. I will try to redress your problems. So do send some comments. I will be waiting eagerly for the comments from your side. Till then, have a very sweet and sound and sonorous day and nights. Thank you. God bless you all.